Hello everyone, my name is Debbie. In today's video, I will show you how to use the Pear Deck add-on on Google Slides to make this synchronous text features lesson interactive. The lesson will provide various supports for your students with disabilities. Let's get started. Before I introduce you to some of the features of Pear Deck, we need to make sure that you have Pear Deck installed as an add-on on Google Slides. Go to your Google Slides, click Add-ons at the top, then click Get Add-ons, and you are going to search for Pear Deck. Once you click Pear Deck, if you don't have it installed already, you will see a blue bar here that says Install. So just click on it and it will add Pear Deck to your Google Slides. Now, the first part of this lesson, students are looking at this page, and you are going to introduce the text by reading aloud the title and reminding students that it is an informational text. You are also going to have them recall what they know about informational text. So before we get to all of that, we want to take a screenshot of the page here, and let's do that quickly. This way we can put this on our Google Slides, and eventually that will go into our Pear Deck lesson. So let's go back to the Google Slides and just paste this page. I'm going to put this on the right-hand side because I want to include a text box here with the directions. I'm going to have students circle the title, so I'm just going to write the directions here. So here are the directions. Circle the title of the informational text, and now I'm going to open up my Pear Deck so that I could use some of the features. I'm going to use the Draw It feature, so click Draw, and this will pop up here. It just shows you what it will look like on the student's device and what it will look like if you are projecting this in front of the classroom. So I'm just going to update the slide, and you will see that a footer has been added to the bottom of your slide. Let's continue with the rest of the lesson, and then we will preview it to see what it looks like on the student's end. One of the things about Pear Deck that I think could be fixed in the future is the option to have multiple features being used on the same slide. So for example, for this slide, I want students to circle the title and also respond to the question, what do they know about an informational text? Unfortunately, that is not an option. So I'm just going to duplicate the slide and then turn this second slide into a text slide so that students can respond to the question. And I'm just going to update the slide. So you can see the footer here has changed. Now it says write your response. Over here it said draw anywhere on the slide. And let's just change the directions so students know that they're responding to the question. I changed the directions here. Answer the following question. What do you know about informational text? And students can write anything into their response box for this part of the lesson. These two slides are very important for the lesson. You are previewing the text with the students so they have an idea of what the text is going to teach them. You are also reviewing concepts that you have taught, such as features of informational text. So students have some background knowledge already, and it's important to make sure they access that background knowledge. This is especially helpful for students with disabilities. And we're going to continue with the next part of the lesson where you read aloud this page. This lesson should be done synchronously. Students will have the Pear Deck open while you are doing this lesson over Zoom or Google Meet. Before you do your read aloud, make sure you review some of the text features, specifically graphics, because that is what students will find on this page. And after you review graphics, make sure students are aware of what they will be doing while you are reading aloud. It's important to give students a thinking job so they are actively listening. Rather than just have the page, I'm going to add a text box so that I can include their thinking jobs. This is especially helpful for students with disabilities because you are previewing the questions that they are about to encounter. This allows them to focus on different parts of the text and gives them some additional time to think of their answer. So on this page, you have the read aloud, you have a visual reminder of what graphics are, and you have the two questions students will be thinking about while you are reading aloud. if you want to see all of your students' responses, you can turn this slide into a text slide. And this way you can call on students to respond aloud while the rest of the class is typing their answer. This way you will get a response from every student. Then you will move on to the second page of the text. And for this part, students will be circling the headings. So just like before, I'm going to take a screenshot and paste it into my Google Slides. So we will have students circle the headings, and on this slide I have the page as well as a reminder of what headings are and the directions here. And I'm going to add the Draw It feature. On the next slide, students will circle where they can find information about China. So they should be circling this box over here, either the entire box or just the heading. After that, you will read the rest of the text, and prior to reading the next page, remind students what speech bubbles are and what they show, and provide them again with a thinking job. This will be a great place to modify for your students' needs. There are 3 questions here, which might be a bit overwhelming for certain students. So you can just give them 1 question to focus on and add the rest of the questions on separate slides. Now there's one more feature I wanted to show you from Pear Deck before we wrap up this video. For this last part, students will take a closer look at the final text feature, which are pronunciations. So students will look specifically at Argentina, and they will look for the word that rhymes with now and underline that word. For this slide, we are going to use a feature called Draggable. So go to your slide and open up Pear Deck, then just click Draggable, and you will have many different draggable items. I'm going to choose the hyphen here and use that as my underline, and I can just resize it so that it will fit under the word chow. That looks about right, and I'm just going to update the slide. So now let's preview this activity. We're going to click Start Lesson, and you are going to do this live, so pick Instructor Pace Activity. You will have to sign in to your Google account that you are using for Pear Deck. Then there's an option here. I'm just going to give students a direct link to make it a little bit easier for them to log on and join the Pear Deck session. So this is what it looks like on their end. They cannot control which slide they are on. You have control over whether or not they advance to the next slide. And then here's the first page. Students will have all of these tools here, including a text box. I mentioned earlier that there's no way to combine the different features of Pear Deck, but for the draw feature, there is an option of a text box. So if you have a question here, students can actually type their response as well. The only downside is often I find students have a hard time using the text box, so I prefer to just use the text feature, but this will be a great way to combine the 2 features if you want to have students do both things at once, like circle the title of the informational text and explain what they know about informational text. Let's continue to look at the rest of the slides. So this is the answer part. Again, if you want to combine this with the draw feature, you can, because there is a text box option, but I find that it's much easier for students just to type into a box that they can see and they don't have to create it. Here's the slide where you will be reading aloud and students will have a thinking job on the left side. Another response slide here, another draw slide, and here is the last slide where students will use the drag feature. And here's the icon up here, and they will just drag it underneath the word chow. That would be the end of the text, and you would continue with the rest of the lesson. Let's review what I went over in this video. I showed you how to use the Pear Deck add-on on Google Slides. We made this lesson interactive for students and provided various supports, especially for your students with disabilities. We allow students to preview the text, access their background knowledge, and preview questions to support their comprehension. Throughout the lesson, there were visual aids that supported students in recognizing text features. Pear Deck is also a great way to allow students to express their answers in multiple ways. They can draw, they can type, or they can drag an icon. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.